Once upon a time there was a small Buddhist monastery on top of a peaceful mountain. A wise master lived there with few of his disciples. They spent their days meditating and practicing the path of inner peace and mindfulness. Their life was calm and silent. In that monastery there was a young disciple who had recently joined. He was sincere and enthusiastic but still new to the spiritual path. Like the others, he would go down the hill every morning to the nearby village to collect alms. One day, as the young disciple went to ask for alms, he knocked on the door of a house. A young woman opened it. She had just taken a bath and her wet hair clung softly around her glowing face. The young monk had never seen such beauty before. He could not pull his eyes away from her. The woman smiled kindly, then went inside and brought food for him. She offered it with great respect. The young monk thanked her and returned to the monastery, but her image stayed alive in his mind. The next morning, he woke up early and got ready quickly. Though monks were taught to visit different houses every day, he decided to go to the same house again. When he knocked the door, the young woman welcomed him once again with a bright smile. Respectfully, she offered him food. The young monk accepted the food and came back. One morning, the young monk reached her house earlier than usual. The woman greeted him at the door and said politely, "Venerable sir, it is my practice to give alms only after I have taken a bath. Today, you have come too early. Kindly wait while I go to the river to take bath and then I will return and give you alms." The monk agreed. As soon as she left to take her bath, the young monk quietly started following her. The woman reached the river and began bathing, while the young disciple hid behind a tree and started watching her take bath. For a moment, guilt rose in his heart and he thought, "What I'm doing?" But then the lust inside him grew stronger and took control over his mind. He kept looking at her with interest. After her bath, the woman returned home. The young monk quickly ran back before her and pretended as if he was waiting there for her. She returned and respectfully gave him food, still unaware of what had happened. From that day onwards, he kept repeating the same routine. Each morning, he would secretly watch the woman taking bath and then collect alms from her house. Now he stopped talking to anyone in the monastery and would often sit lost in the thoughts of the woman. It became difficult for him to concentrate during meditation. The master started noticing the change in him. One day the master called him and asked gently, "What's troubling you?" But the disciple replied, "Nothing, master. I am just not feeling well." The master remained calm but decided to observe him more closely. The next morning, when the disciple left for alms, the master secretly followed him. From a distance he saw everything. The disciple hiding behind a tree at the riverbank and watching the woman taking bath. The master sighed deeply. His heart was filled with sadness. The master quietly walked up to him and placed a firm hand on his shoulder. The young monk turned around shocked and terrified. His face went pale and his whole body began to tremble. He tried to make excuses, but his voice was shaking. The master said nothing. He simply held his hand and led him toward the mountain. After a long walk, they reached a stagnant and muddy pond. The master released his hand and said calmly, "Can you cross this point and come back?" The young monk was still frightened but agreed. He started removing his robe. But the master immediately stopped him and said, "Why are you removing your robe?" The disciple answered, "Master, the pond is dirty. If I go in with my robe, it will get spoiled and become dirty." The master smiled gently and said, "You are not ready to dirty your robe, which is not very precious. But you allowed your priceless mind to be stained so easily." Then he continued, "This robe can be washed easily. But when the mind gets dirty, it is not easy to clean it." He pointed at the muddy pond. Lust is like this mud. At first it seems harmless, but once you step in it, it sticks to you. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink in. He looked at the young monk and said, "In the same way, when you let lust into your mind, it stains you, it traps you, and if you don't stop, it pulls you down further and further." The young disciple was feeling deeply ashamed. He had understood the weight of his master's words. Tears rolled down his cheeks and he bowed to his master and said, "Please forgive me, master. I have lost my way." The master gently placed his hand on his shoulder and said, "Falling is not your defeat, but staying fallen is, so rise again, stronger and wiser. From that day onwards, the young monk truly began his real practice. He stopped going for alms. He fought his inner battles, guarded his mind, and purified his heart. Years later, he became a great teacher known for his wisdom and deep understanding. And he often told his disciples, "Victory over others is temporary, but victory over oneself is eternal." If we see in our lives, we will find that many people, especially the youth, often struggle with unwanted sexual thoughts. These thoughts disturb the mind, distract us from our work or studies, and leave us feeling restless. The more we try to resist them, the more they seem to come back with force. But we must understand that these thoughts are not random. They often arise from the things we have seen, watched, or imagined in the past. It is natural to have sexual urges. After all, we all are born out of that energy. But becoming obsessed with such thoughts is not healthy. If your mind is constantly thinking about sex, then it means those thoughts has been repeatedly fed into your mind. Most likely you have been exposed to content, especially online, that keeps replaying in your memory. Today, a large portion of content on the internet is pornographic. When someone watches such content on their phone, those scenes and images becomes deeply planted in their mind. Later these thoughts rise again and again, making it feel like the mind is out of control. But the truth is simple. If you stop feeding your night with such content, the thoughts will automatically begin to fade. When you stop watching explicit or vulgar material, the mind starts healing, and slowly those things and imaginations will lose their grip. And if you want to speed up this cleansing process, then start practicing meditation. Meditation has the power to erase deep impressions from the mind. It brings calmness, clarity, and inner strength. In the end, avoid planting the seeds of lust in your mind. Practice meditation. Protect your thoughts, and slowly your mind will become clean, focused, peaceful, and full of strength. Music.